Good evening. I'm Rohit Sharma and welcome to Desi From DC, coming to you every night from heart of Washington. This is where America's power corridors meet India's prime time to break down the political, economic, and global stories that shape both nations live from Washington, D.C. From Capitol Hill to Raisana Hill, we connect the dots between what happens here in Washington and how it echoes back home in India. We begin tonight with the big stories of the day. US clears $93 million Javelin Excalibur weapon sales to India. US-Saudi leaders announce major business deals. US-Russia draft controversial Ukraine peace plan. OpenAI launches ChatGPT tool for teachers. And Pam Bondi says Department of Justice will release all Epstein files. We begin tonight with the breaking news that's coming from the Trump administration. The Trump administration has cleared two major arms sales to India worth nearly $93 million, part of ongoing efforts to strengthen US-India strategic ties and boost New Delhi's defense capabilities. The deals include advanced Javelin anti-tank missiles and Excalibur precision artillery shells. The first package, valued at $47.1 million, provides India with 216 GPS-guided Excalibur artillery projectiles, capable of striking targets over 40 kilometers away with high accuracy. These rounds will enhance India's long-range first strike capabilities, especially in the mountainous border regions. The second sale, worth $45.7 million, is 100 FGM-148 Javelin anti-tank missiles, launch unit simulators, spare parts, and training support. The Javelin is a fire-and-forget missile widely used in conflict zones, including Ukraine, and is highly effective against armored vehicles and fortified positions. According to the State Department, these sales will improve India's ability to counter regional threats, strengthen homeland defense, and integrate the new systems into infantry and mountain strike units. Officials say the deal also supports UN foreign policy by deepening the strategic partnership in the Indo-Pacific. Now, experts say that this move signals Washington's commitment to helping India modernize its military, maintain stability in the region, and deter potential threats along its borders. The deals are now awaiting final delivery and integration into the Indian Army's operational units. President Donald Trump delivered a keynote speech today at the US-Saudi Investment Forum in Washington, D.C., marking a new chapter in economic and strategic ties between two nations. Our top story tonight, the promise of nearly $1 trillion in Saudi investment in the United States, and a notable shift in Trump's stance on skilled immigration. At the forum, President Trump praised deepening partnership between the US and Saudi Arabia, highlighting multi-billion-dollar deals spanning artificial intelligence, civil nuclear energy, and critical minerals. Saudi Arabia has pledged up to $1 trillion in US investments, with more than $270 billion worth of agreements and currently being processed. Trump emphasized the economic benefits these investments could bring into American workers and industries, framing them as a win-and-win for both the countries. In a notable departure from his previous hardline immigration stance, Trump acknowledged that allowing skilled immigrants to train American workers aligns with his Make America Great Again agenda. This signals a more flexible approach to immigration policy aimed at boosting the US workforce. On energy and technology, Trump was clear about his priorities. He criticized wind energy projects while championing nuclear power, oil, and natural gas as key components of America's energy future. He also touted efforts to streamline approvals for critical infrastructure, such as data centers and power plants. This energy strategy highlights Trump's focus on traditional industries combined with emerging technologies, aiming to secure American leadership in both economic and technological arenas. The forum underscores a growing economic and strategic partnership between the US and Saudi Arabia, with significant implications for investment flows, immigration policy, and energy development. As these pledges move from paper to practice, All eyes will be on how these investments reshape the economic landscape and create jobs for Americans, something that President Trump wants to do desperately. US and Russian officials have reportedly drafted a new peace plan for Ukraine, but it comes with steep conditions. The plan would require Kyiv to surrender territory into the east and drastically reduce the size of its military, a move many see as a tantamount to capitulation. The draft, reportedly developed by President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Kremlin advisor Kirill Dmitriev, would also limit US military support to Ukraine. Now, it is unclear whether the current US administration has formally endorsed the plan. Ukraine has historically rejected proposals that force such extreme concessions. The reports come amid a deadly Russian missile and drone strike in Ternopil, killing at least 25 people, including 3 children, and injuring dozens more. Buildings and energy infrastructure were targeted as Russia continues a campaign to cripple Ukraine's civilian power grid ahead of the winter. US Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll arrived in Ukraine to meet with officials and discuss potential steps to end the war. However, Russia continues to demand maximal concessions, and direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine have stalled since last summer. US Navy Secretary John Phelan has warned that shipyards are struggling to hire workers because blue-collar jobs often pay less than roles at companies like Amazon or Bookies. The shortage is threatening efforts to rebuild America's $37 billion shipbuilding industry, which supports about 110,000 workers and contributes significantly to the national economy. Phelan said that Trump administration has prioritized shipbuilding, but low wages make it difficult to attract skilled welders and fabricators. He noted that young workers often see these jobs as physically demanding and less rewarding compared to other careers with similar pay. Over the past decades, US shipbuilding has fallen behind global competitors, with China now producing more ships by tonnage than the US since World War II. The decline is tied to policy shifts, reduced subsidies, and changing workforce priorities. Research shows many blue-collar workers view their work as just a job to get by, and only a quarter say they're satisfied with the pay. Even with high-paying opportunities in manufacturing, trades, emergency services, millions of positions still in America remain unfulfilled. A power play in the Middle East that could redraw region's security map. The United States and Saudi Arabia have signed a landmark strategic defense agreement, with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman receiving red carpet welcome at the White House. The deal includes the advanced F-35 stealth fighter jets, making Saudi Arabia the first Arab nation to own this cutting-edge weapon, and nearly 300 American tanks. Most importantly for India, analysts warn this could alter security calculation, with Saudi Arabia now committed to defending Pakistan in any conflict. The stakes are high, alliances are shifting, and the implications stretch from Riyadh to New Delhi. Here's a report.
A major shakeup in West Asia. The United States and Saudi Arabia have signed a sweeping security and defense agreement. The announcement came from US President Donald Trump during Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's visit to the White House on Tuesday, November 18th. The visit was controversial. Trump downplayed the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist, in front of reporters. Yet, the focus remained on weapons, technology, and long-term strategic ties. So what do we know about this security pact? And more importantly, should India worry? The agreement eases weapons transfers. Saudi Arabia will now gain access to F-35 stealth fighter jets. Made by Lockheed Martin, the F-35 is one of the world's most advanced combat planes. It's called America's quarterback in aerial warfare. One jet costs $85 million to $115 million, with lifetime operational costs nearing $1 trillion.
We're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles. We make the best military equipment in the world.
Nice.
But F-35s are just the tip of the iceberg. The pact includes cooperation in nuclear power and artificial intelligence. The White House calls it a decade-long multi-billion-dollar partnership built on strong non-proliferation standards. The move could rattle Israel. The US has long provided Israel with billions in advanced weaponry. Giving F-35s to Saudi Arabia could alter the delicate balance in West Asia. Some Pentagon officials and Trump advisors have quietly raised concerns. India, meanwhile, is watching closely. Earlier this year, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a mutual defense pact. It includes a NATO-like clause. An attack on one is considered an attack on both. Given past conflict between India and Pakistan, the development is significant. Analysts warn of potential fallout. Pakistan could gain access to advanced US technology through Saudi Arabia. History offers a warning. In the late 1970s and 80s, Pakistan's nuclear program relied on the AQ Khan network to acquire critical design and know-how from Europe. Could history repeat itself with F-35 technology? Another consequence, a potential arms race in West Asia. Countries may boost military spending to keep pace. Saudi Arabia has historically stayed neutral in India-Pakistan tensions. The stance could change under this new agreement. For India, the response is clear. Focus on indigenous fighter jet production, especially the LCA Tejas. Look at alternate options such as Russia's Su-57, a fifth-generation fighter rivaling the F-35. Strategic vigilance is key. As the F-35s take flight and nuclear partnerships deepen, the balance of power in West Asia is shifting. For India, vigilance, innovation, and strategic foresight are no longer optional. They are imperative. With Riddhishish Kanjalal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
A 22-year-old Indian man wanted for murder has been arrested in the United States after being denied entry into Canada. Vishad Kumar was stopped by US CBP officers at the Peace Bridge border crossing in Buffalo, New York on November 16th. Kumar had illegally entered the US in 2024 and missed an asylum interview. During a secondary inspection, the officers discovered he had been using a false name and date of birth. Biometric checks confirmed his true identity. Further investigation revealed that Kumar is wanted in India for murder and he has an Interpol red notice issued against him. After processing by CBP officers, he was handed over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE for removal operations. Kumar is now detained at the federal detention facility in Batavia, New York, awaiting removal proceedings from the United States. Acting Area Port Director Sharon Swatek said the arrest highlights the critical role of US border officers and their collaboration with international law enforcement to uphold justice. The House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved the release of Jeffrey Epstein's case files. But one Republican, Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana, stood alone in opposition. Higgins' no vote broke a near unanimous consensus and has drawn attention to his controversial record. Higgins has represented Louisiana's 3rd congressional district since 2017 and is known as one of the most far-right members of the House. A strong Trump supporter, he first gained national attention for his dramatic Crime Stoppers videos, which went viral before his political career began. Higgins has faced criticism over past law enforcement work, social media posts threatening armed protesters, controversial remarks on Haitian immigrants, and COVID-19 conspiracy claims. Despite this, he has remained a vocal and outspoken figure in the Congress. In a post on X, Higgins explained that his vote was based on protecting innocent people. Now, he argued that releasing the files could unintentionally harm witnesses, family members, and those providing alibis. I have been a principal no on this bill from the beginning, he said, citing concerns over criminal justice procedure and privacy. OpenAI has launched a new version of ChatGPT designed specifically for K-12 teachers. The tool called ChatGPT for Teachers aims to give educators a safe and personalized way to use AI in classrooms and districts across the US. With ChatGPT for Teachers, educators can securely access student information, get teaching support, and collaborate with colleagues. School leaders also have administrative controls to manage how the AI is used in their districts. OpenAI is initially rolling out the program with a group of districts representing about 150,000 teachers. The tool will be free for the US K-2 educators through June 2027. Lee Belsky, OpenAI's Vice President of Education, said the goal is to give teachers hand-on experience with AI so they can guide students in using it responsibly. OpenAI has confirmed that student data will be protected and not used to train its AI models. ChatGPT for Teachers is part of OpenAI's broader push to support learning tools, including Study Mode, a feature aimed at college students to help them solve problems step by step before getting the answer. The company says empowering teachers with AI is key to helping students use technology safely and effectively. President Trump wants to send $2,000 tariff dividend checks to all working Americans using the revenue he's collected from tariffs. But Republican lawmakers are pushing back, saying the math does not quite add up, and congressional approval is actually needed for him to do so. They warn it could worsen inflation and raise questions about who's eligible and how to distribute it. Now, ongoing court challenges to Trump's tariff could also force refunds, leaving no money for checks. While Trump's team call it a relief for struggling families, congressional Republicans remain divided, making this Washington's newest flashpoint ahead of next year's midterms. Here's a report. President Trump's latest economic idea is running into resistance on Capitol Hill. The president wants to send $2,000 tariff dividend checks to working-class Americans funded entirely by the revenue his administration is collecting from new tariffs. But on Wednesday, Republican lawmakers signaled they are not convinced. The proposal was privately pitched to GOP members this week. According to people familiar with the discussions, the plan would use tariff money to deliver a one-time payment to lower and middle-income households. The White House argues this would soften the impact of higher prices caused by the tariffs and give families some relief heading into the next year. But many Republicans say the idea simply does not add up. They point out that tariff revenue does not automatically translate into checks. The money flows into the US Treasury, and Congress would have to approve any new spending program. Several lawmakers also raised concerns about the national debt, warning that redirecting tariff revenue could worsen long-term deficits. There's also growing worry about inflation. Some GOP members say that injecting billions of dollars directly into households, even through tariff revenue, could push prices higher again at a time when Americans are only beginning to feel relief from earlier inflation spikes. They argue that another round of checks could stimulate demand and undo recent progress on cooling prices. On top of that, there are questions about logistics, who would qualify, how the payments would be distributed, and whether the amount would change if the tariff revenue fluctuates. And beyond the politics, there's a legal risk. Some of the tariffs imposed under Trump's emergency powers are facing court challenges. A Supreme Court ruling against the administration could force the government to refund tariff money to importers, leaving little to fund the president's proposed checks. Still, the idea has strong backing from inside Trump's inner circle. Supporters say the payment could help millions of Americans who have felt the impact of rising prices. They also argue that if tariffs are bringing in record revenue, ordinary families should directly benefit. For now, the proposal remains uncertain, with key details unresolved and congressional Republicans far from united. The $2,000 check is becoming a new flashpoint in Washington and a preview of economic messaging likely to shape next year's midterms. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Justice Department will follow the law after the Congress passed a bill forcing the release of Jeffrey Epstein's case files, ensuring victims are protected. Bondi told reporters that the files will be made public with maximum transparency while safeguarding victims' privacy. She encouraged survivors to speak with the prosecutors. The bill now goes to President Trump, who initially resisted but later directed lawmakers to approve it. The Justice Department is also investigating Epstein ties to prominent figures including Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and JP Morgan Chase. Epstein died by suicide in 2019, and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for aiding his crimes. Bondi confirmed that the investigation is ongoing in Manhattan and emphasized that the department will act within the law. The video shows the last cargo ship leaving Tasiilaq, a remote town in eastern Greenland, before winter sea ice makes the ford unnavigable. Supplies must last until June 2026, when ice melts and ships can return. The phrase "ice has cleared" means the path was open for departure, but ice will soon form. Residents have to stock up for months in isolation until the ships can return next summer. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Desi from DC. This is Rohit Sharma for India Today Global. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button before you leave. Stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay curious.